Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Today's the 26th, Thursday of December, 2019. And you know what? I'll tell you what I think's going on with the repo market. I think it all actually boils down to Deutsche Bank and their restructuring. And I think the European banks are in big trouble, and I think that the carryover from the $45 trillion of nominal derivatives value on Deutsche Bank's books has a carryover effect into the American financial system, and I think this is what's causing the repo madness. But I think because it's over 45, maybe $50 trillion we're talking about here, this madness is going to continue into the new year, perhaps get worse. I'll tell you what I think it all amounts to, really. I think Deutsche Bank's already failed. And I think this restructuring is a deleveraging. Not a restructuring. A restructuring would mean that they plan on continuing on and they're going to restructure so that they can be a better, more profitable bank, etc., etc. Oh, I think this is a deleveraging. I think they're deleveraging Deutsche Bank as fast as possible because they know she's going to collapse and they want to deleverage it to the point where it's going to limit or a controlled demolition. A controlled demolition, guys. I think that's what they're doing. They're gutting the bank. They're gutting it right now. A controlled demolition of Deutsche Bank. So let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here and take a look at what's going on. Deutsche Bank's chief, that's Sewing, claims a strong start to a radical restructure. Can we say a radical deleveraging? They're trying as fast as they can. This is what I think is going on. Now, this is just my personal opinion, but I think this is what's affecting the repo market and the shortage of liquidity. I think they're trying to settle all these trades of Deutsche Bank's derivatives book. Under an undercurrent, in other words, to this radical, what they call a restructuring, is actually they're deleveraging the bank. Then when she finally does go under, it'll be like a controlled demolition within the financial system, and the financial system would be able to absorb the shock. I think that's their hope at the end game of all this, because I think they know that Deutsche Bank is actually going down. It says Deutsche Bank has made a strong start in executing its transformation strategy and has raised its investment banking revenue expectations according. Now, see, this is what they want you all to believe, that Deutsche Bank's basically going to continue on, and this keeps their stock price from bottoming out. If people knew. Also, it quells panic and fear within the financial system. If they know in the financial system higher up that Deutsche Bank's already failed and they're trying to deleverage it, they're just holding it together, this would be huge. And I think this is maybe what's going on. Now, this is just a theory of mine, but it seems to fit all of the things that have been happening. When you consider that they have a $50 trillion or $45 or $50 trillion nominal value derivatives book, then you could understand a $700 billion repo operation. It would put things more in perspective if I'm right about this. Of course, right now it's just a theory, but I think we're going to find out pretty darn soon. Let's take a look now at gold. And you know what I see today? I see a little bit of movement toward panic within the financial system, and maybe there's people in the know about what's really going on with the repo operation and what's real. They know more than I do. They have what's called insider information. And we see a movement into gold here quite strong. It's broke above $1,500 today. Gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver's at $17.87 and it's up 12 cents on the day. It's had a little dip. You know, it was as high as over $18 for a little while there today, you know? So gold and silver are catching a bid really good. And maybe these are insiders within the financial system. Maybe word's getting out. Hey, you know what? This repo is going to be a bigger mess. In other words, it's not contained. It's like the mortgage crisis back in 2000, and when they were back in 2000, I think 2007, when they were saying it's contained, everything's contained. Maybe this repo operation is not contained at all. Maybe it's time, to make a little bit of preparations. Get an emergency kit in your house. Put away some $5 bills for yourself, a nice little stack, in case the bank. If suddenly Deutsche Bank were to go under, it could freeze the financial system for weeks or even months, And a frozen financial system means that you're not going to have access to your normal lines of credit or your normal lines of banking and stuff. And where are you going to get money to buy baby formula? Where are you going to get money to put gas in your car? A good idea, to fill your car up, fill your tanks with gas, and have an emergency kit ready in case there's some sort of an emergency, and also have a little bit of bottled water put away for yourself and a bit of canned food, a few things like that. And being as it's winter time, maybe even a auxiliary heat, some sort of auxiliary heat, like of some sort or another, I'm not going to recommend it because, it's just me, but I went out and bought a little heater called Little Buddy Heater. It runs on propane. Now, this is just me. I'm not going to recommend that because you have to use proper ventilation using it. And not everybody knows about that. Some people would say I'm cold and they go in and lock themselves in the bathroom, wouldn't have proper ventilation. People do crazy things, but the thing is I got myself a little buddy heater, in case the electricity goes out even. We don't know what's awaiting us into this new year. It's like a closed door, and you open up the door, and then you find out what's in there, Same thing when you open your gifts at Christmas time, you don't know what's in there. You shake the box, but you don't really know what's in there until you crack it open. And that's the way with this new year we got coming in right now. We don't know what's awaiting us until we crack into that new year and find out what's going to happen here, because there's definitely something happening within the financial system right now that's like, I'm watching these markets carefully, and there's a little bit of something going on. Fed's repo, right here, it says the repo problem is only the beginning, as the biggest bubble in history looks ready to pop. It says the Fed's repo problems shed light on where the real dollar liquidity crisis is brewing in Europe. Deutsche Bank, it says, is at the center of this storm in Europe. And so what they've done is they've connected the banking systems now. European banking system is connected to the American banking system. The American banking system is connected to the Canadian banking system. They've connected all these banking systems together, all these central banks together. It kind of reminds me, of a bunch of ships on the ocean. And one of the captains comes up with a great idea. Hey, you know what? Let's put chains between all of our ships, and that way none of us can sink anymore. Because we'll chain all of our ships together, and then when the big storm hits, none of us will sink, because if a ship goes to sink, the chains will hold it from sinking. Great idea, so they put all these big heavy chains between their ships. The problem is at that point, one ship can carry all the ships down because they're all chained together. And that's what they've done with the banking system. They've linked themselves together through these derivative contracts and stuff, after 2008, after the big crisis. And now what we have a bank in Europe, one of the biggest banks in the world, Deutsche Bank, and it's at the center of this storm. It says, what's driving the Fed's interventions in the repo market? There's $500 billion in fresh liquidity coming over the next month. Major bank failures are on the horizon. I'm telling you guys, we got to wait and see what happens in this new year. But I've seen Deutsche Bank this morning. I went to Deutsche Bank and I saw they're down like 2% today. It says here that this means that the central bank has lost control over that which is most responsible for the short-term interest rate. They've lost control. What made them lose control? Could it be actually the knowledge that Deutsche Bank has actually already failed? Could that be? Question mark. Because they are not being transparent with us about what's really going on. It's as simple as that. And so we're having to try to figure it out ourselves from this end of the spectrum. Repo madness. He says, why won't the banks lend to each other in the repo markets at rates that are in line with the rates set by the central banks? I mean, that repo rate, overnight rate, can you imagine 10%? For just lending money out overnight to other banking institutions. I mean, if you're going to lend money to another bank, you're going to charge them 10% just for 24 hours? Really? Does that show how much that they're not even trusting each other with money? What a dangerous situation we're in right now. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this show. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned. I'm going to try to stay on top of this. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on, and relate it back to you guys. You guys have a great Christmas, New Year. I know Christmas is over now, but have a great, happy New Year, and don't drink too much eggnog. Take my advice. Don't drink too much eggnog. And we'll see just a little bit. A little bit's okay. But don't drink too much eggnog. Thumbs up, guys. Bye-bye, and see you later.